novelty balloons, 28 floats, 12,000 cheerleaders, 12 marching bands, the Radio City Rockettes, and you've got clowns, 700 of them. There will be 7 new balloons and 5 new floats, including the popular animated dog Louie and Baby Shark on a float. The inflatable lineup also includes a new balloon of a striker, the U.S. soccer star, by Fox Sports. NYPD Police Commissioner adding they not only have the officers that you see, but of course the ones you don't, in the crowd, in the air, on tops of the building. So we're all looking for a good day here in New York. We've got great weather, and again, the streets are absolutely packed today. We'll have more as the day goes on. Back to you.
Looking forward to it, Laura Engel. Thank you very much. I'll be back down there. Actually, I'll join the parade right at the very end of this show. Griff?
Julie, it's now been 9 months since Russia's war in Ukraine began. Now, as winter sets in, Putin is now using the freezing cold weather as a new weapon against innocent civilians. We're live in Kyiv. Plus, cases of RSV and the flu both on the rise this winter, and COVID masks may be making a comeback. Dr. Devi is here to break it all down for us. She's next.
We're seeing a big outbreak of RSV and flu because we didn't consider what masks and lockdowns were going to do there. And again, he never set a consistent policy of what the damage would be.
40 years ago, pop music crowned its king with the release of Thriller. Celebrate the anniversary of the best-selling album of all time with the return of the Michael Jackson Channel. Hear all the hits and hear from those who knew MJ best.
I just don't think there was ever a better duo than Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson.
The Michael Jackson Channel, on now for a limited time. Channel 50 and the SXM app.
What if I told you we could look into your coronary arteries and find your risk of a heart attack years before you ended up in the emergency room or needing surgery? I'm Dr. David Fine, and I created the Princeton Longevity Center because there is a better way to stay healthy. For over 20 years, Princeton Longevity has helped our patients go far beyond a typical annual physical to take control of their health and reduce their risk of deadly but preventable diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. At Princeton Longevity, our team of dedicated doctors, dietitians, and exercise physiologists will spend an entire day with you to assess the state of your health and build a personalized plan that fits your lifestyle to keep you healthy well into the future. We have the latest technology, experience, and most importantly, the expertise to show you how to lower your future risk of these terrible diseases and get back on track to staying well. I invite you to see for yourself. Call the Princeton Longevity Center today at 888-8000-PLC or visit PrincetonLongevityCenter.com.
2000, 2008, 2022. When it comes to the economy, those are some scary years. Dot-com crash, housing crash, and the roller coaster we're going through right now. It's a dangerous time to not know your numbers. But over 31,000 businesses have the confidence and clarity they need because they rely on NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, improve margins, everything you need all in one place. So, how do you prepare for uncertain times? The answer, NetSuite. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your business processes, and easily see where to save money. That's why 93% of customers say they improved their visibility and control when they upgraded to NetSuite. What are you waiting for? NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/XM. netsuite.com/XM.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
This is Sirius XM Radio.
CDC data shows hospitalizations for RSV have more than doubled versus last year. This as flu hospitalizations levels have spiked to a rate not seen in a decade. Senior correspondent Steve Harrigan is live in Atlanta, home of the CDC headquarters. Hey Steve, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Griff. The CDC now tracking a range of respiratory illnesses, not just COVID and the flu, but RSV as well. That gives flu-like symptoms, often to younger children, and it has gone up dramatically in the past year alone. One of the biggest challenges is finding hospital beds for those young patients, often children under 5. To find them in the pediatric unit and intensive care units is really tough. Many hospitals being forced to use emergency rooms for long-term stays or even setting up tents for overflow patients.
When there is an emergency room bed open, it is full. And when there is an inpatient bed open, someone is waiting to take that as well.
Pediatricians have sent a letter to President Biden asking for an emergency declaration that would give hospitals more flexibility in dealing with these young patients. The CDC says currently the rate of RSV in the U.S. is 2.9 per 100,000 for hospitalizations in the U.S. That's more than double just 1 year ago. The worst of the surge hitting in the east and the southeast. And again, the challenge is for ICU beds. Many physicians say part of the reason, the cause of the rise in RSV is the pandemic itself.
I think during the pandemic, you had a lot of people who are social distancing, or maybe they weren't at school. Now people are in a situation where now they're back at school, they're in closer quarters and things like that. And so some people who have grown up and haven't been exposed to RSV, most children are by the age of 2, but if they haven't, now that they're in close quarters, there is another reason why there's a rise of infection, because now there's more people gathering together.
COVID cases also expected to rise yet again in the weeks ahead, especially again among children. Of those in America aged 5 to 11, less than 1/3 fully vaccinated against COVID. Griff, back to you.
Steve Harrigan, live for us in Atlanta. Steve, thank you. Julie?
All right, Dr. Debbie Nampia-Parampil, Associate Professor at the NYU School of Medicine, also founder and Medical Director of Metropolis Pain Medicine, joins me now to talk about this. Okay, so let's just talk about RSV, because that is something that every single parent I know has either come in contact with it, their child has, and then it's spread to their family. It's extremely contagious. Then we've got flu season, of course, and then COVID, which is not over. These are all respiratory illnesses, and those that are most at risk are the elderly and children. So tell us how we need to prepare for these.
Well, it can be hard to separate or distinguish the three of them without testing, but they all look like cold viruses. So to begin with, we can remember the basic things of hand washing, protect ourselves, keep ourselves in good health. But some of the things that distinguish them, RSV, usually people can have wheezing sounds, which are abnormal breath sounds. So if you see a child or if you see someone with a cold virus that's breathing abnormally, then you want to separate that person and call the doctor or call 911 immediately. So this is not someone you want to bring to the pediatrician's office or bring to daycare, because immediately that could spread to others, including at the doctor's office itself. So that's someone who should be separated, and maybe you should consider hospitalization. But that's the danger with RSV, that it spreads so quickly and it can last on surfaces. Flu virus, usually you can separate it out because people can have these sudden severe muscle pains. So that's what distinguishes that. And COVID, sometimes you can tell because people will have this sudden loss of smell or taste. But really you want to get tested immediately. So why does it make a difference to know which one you have? Because as we learned over the past couple of years, that you could have treatment. So there are treatment options. There's antivirals now that we didn't always have. With flu, for example, there's Tamiflu and there are others. So if you get early antiviral treatment, you could speed up the course of the illness and have less severe symptoms. Same thing, some people are candidates for Paxlovid and other treatments with COVID as well. So what we want to do, we can't escape all these pathogens, for example. We're surrounded by viruses, bacteria, fungi. We can't always escape, and we also have to develop immunity sometimes to these things. But what we want to do is protect the most vulnerable people in society. We also want, if we're healthy, to at least escape kind of the severe complications, and we want to minimize the disruption to ourselves. So with COVID, the worst thing was that the people who were sick experienced severe disruptions, and the people who weren't sick also had severe disruptions from COVID.
Right.
So if we can at least minimize the course of the illness, then we can minimize sort of the quarantine period, isolation, or separation, like while we're sick, then we can minimize all of those disruptions.
Okay, well, the HHS basically thinks that one way to minimize it is possibly bringing masks back as we gather. HHS is urging that masks need to be implemented due to long COVID. So they're speaking about COVID in particular. I believe RSV right now is almost more prevalent in our schools and our kids' schools than COVID. I mean, I have teachers that are now double masking in my kids' school because they had RSV, and I personally, as a mother, have never even dealt with RSV. Is this relatively a newer sort of thing that we're dealing with right now? Because I've never seen it sort of become so prevalent. And do you believe that masks are going to be making a comeback?
Well, you brought up two good points. So first, with RSV, it's been around for a long time. I think people are thinking about these things more because we've gone through COVID. But RSV, we actually, if people get tested, we might have better data about whether RSV is around. You can see it more also because people will be, if they get sick, they will be hospitalized. So people can tell a little bit more about the number of severe cases. COVID, because of home tests and all these different things and the lack of reliability in the testing, it's harder to know how many people actually have COVID and whether they have a mild case or a severe case. Harder to tell what's going on. But you know, so that there's a lot of confusion about that. Then there's the question of the masks and then long COVID itself. The mask is a very polarizing way to go, given everything that we've been through over the past couple years. I think people who are medically frail, people who are vulnerable, you know, masks might offer some protection against all these different respiratory illnesses. So it makes, you know, it makes a difference whether you're talking about small droplets, large droplets, what type of mask you're talking about, and how vulnerable that person is. But a mask mandate is a different type of thing. You know, mandate is different than voluntarily wearing a mask. And when you're talking about long COVID, that's a lot of different illnesses that are being lumped together. So people can have symptoms after having any viral illness. You know, people can take time to recover. Viruses can precipitate a lot of different autoimmune conditions. People who've been hospitalized can have nerve and muscle disorders too. And they can have side effects from treatment.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I know RSV is a concern for parents because children have smaller airways, obviously. So that's why it sort of becomes harder to breathe if you get some sort of respiratory infection in a child. But Dr. Debbie Nampia-Parampil, thank you very much for talking to us, and just be safe, sterilize, use hand sanitizer, you know, your usual, wash your hands. That's the best advice we've got. All right, thank you very much, Dr. Griff.
Julie, temperatures are dropping and